Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Who would have thought Batman this whole time was just a sparkly vampire? Well, it's a different movie. Well, it's the same actor, so I thought that. Are we live? Hey everyone, welcome back. It's the ASMryan here, and today we're going to be talking about one of my most anticipated movies of the year, The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, the Batman himself. Before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you for being here. It means a lot to me that I can just come out here, hang out with my community, and talk about something that I love, which is movies. With that being said, I have a question for you. Who is your favorite Batman? Is it an old school Batman with Adam West? Is it a recent Batman with Christian Bale or Ben Affleck? Is it a cartoon Batman? Who's your favorite voice actor Batman? Comment down below and let me know. Also, subscribe and don't forget to like the video. It really helps out the channel. So I got a lot to talk about with this movie, but I'll try and keep it short for you all. We're going to be breaking it up into chapters. Talking story, talking characters, talking tone, and talking audience that I think will like this. From there, we'll go into my spoiler talk and then final review. Timestamps below, but let's get started. This movie made me extremely happy because it shows you something that we haven't really seen that much when it comes to Batman movies, especially live action movies, is how dark, disgusting, and how much of a not nice place it is to be Gotham is. And the Batman has only been the Batman for 2 years in this movie. While he's fairly new at his job being the mass vigilante of Gotham, he's pretty well known. Whether you're a criminal looking up in the sky at his light, shaking in your boots looking into the shadows waiting for Batman, or whether you're a police officer that doesn't like this masked man doing your job, not standing up for justice, and hiding behind a mask, you know who he is. He's Bruce Wayne. He's a spoiled billionaire. He's emo Batman in this movie. Yeah, emo Batman. He is very dark and gritty in this movie, really blending into the setting of Gotham, and I feel like it fits and works really well. I'm pretty sure he's the first Batman not to say as many words in a Batman movie. Christian Bale was always talking, Ben Affleck was always talking, but with Robert Pattinson's Batman, he's very quiet, calm, and concealed. But we'll get more into that after the story. Batman's main villain in this movie is the Riddler, which I loved because I felt like, although I love Jim Carrey's Riddler, this one took a very serious, real-world tone with it, and I loved it to death. He's fighting against corrupt politicians, a corrupt system, and a corrupt police force that he believes is the true villain of Gotham, rather than these other criminals and himself he may see as a savior of Gotham. Now, with 95% of the police force hating Batman, and then the majority of the city either being afraid of Batman or not liking him either, this Batman doesn't really have many places to look for help when it comes to trying to track down the Riddler or help Gotham. However, he's made a friend in Detective James Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright. He meets up with Selina Kyle, Catwoman, played by Zoe Kravitz, and as you all know, he has his butler, Alfred, who's raised him and helped him get through all the hard times in his life, played by Andy Serkis. Now, Batman's villain, the Riddler, leaves messages and clues for him at each one of his crime scenes, really showing the detective side of Batman in this movie, which I really loved. The fact that this movie actually doesn't rely too much on action, but more on dialogue, the detective aspect of Batman, his gadgets, everything he uses. It's really that dark kind of film noir detective Batman that most true comic book fans seem to like more than just the buff Batman, let me punch you in the face. It really brings a new look into what Batman is. I mean, he looks extremely young in this movie compared to Ben Affleck and Christian Bale, and it shows a lot in terms of just the emotion Robert Pattinson shows in this movie. Again, more on his character there, but in terms of the story and the feel of this, he's really just kind of this emo Batman, this brooding Batman that just kind of stares at people and takes into account his surroundings and doesn't really talk or share any emotions in terms of showing his emotions. And at almost 3 hours long, you'd probably think this movie drags a lot and feels like a snooze fest for the most part because it does rely on dialogue and detective work. I don't think the pacing was that bad in this movie. I think it was done really well, actually. I think every scene was there for a reason. Nothing really felt like it was thrown in there for filler. Didn't really feel like there was too much fat on the movie. It just really, really looked well put together in terms of telling a full story without rushing itself or without putting in too much that isn't really necessary. Now, this movie does a great job in terms of telling their story of a highly politicized city that needs real change, and whether you're a psychopath trying to change it or a politician doing their best to raise awareness to the real problems within the city, it does a great job at showing you a lot of different sides of every coin, really, whether you agree with the politicians or don't agree, or whether you're for the corrupt cops or against the corrupt cops, whether you like the crime mob bosses or whether you like, Batman's way of doing things. It shows you every single sector of Gotham and gives you a look into each world and allows you to make your own judgment from there. Now, I don't think any other Batman movie has really followed Batman this deeply. We feel like we're actually Batman in the movie through his POV. And there's moments where he gets knocked out and the screen goes black for you as well. He wakes back up and it's extremely blurry. You're just as dizzy and groggy as Batman is. There's a lot of moments like that in the movie where if he gets injured in a fight or if he gets just anything really happens to him, you as the viewer can feel it, you can hear it, you can see it. It's really well done in terms of putting you in the shoes of Batman himself. So the story itself is really well told, really well done. I think the writing is great, and the pacing is absolute perfection. I loved it. Now, while I wish I can talk about each one of these characters for an hour each, we're really going to be focusing on the main characters being the Batman, Catwoman, Detective James Gordon, the Riddler, and Penguin. Huge props and just a million roses thrown in their faces for the supporting cast. Everybody in this movie I thought did a great job, did a fantastic performance, and I feel really helped the world come to its own in this movie. The setting itself is really strong in showing you this place is a crap hole. Gotham sucks. It's dirty. But the characters in it really feel like they belong in that world, in that city. The detectives, the cops, everybody really feels like they've felt this city's toll be taken on them for years. And you can see that in their performances. So, supporting cast, background actors, everybody involved, amazing job. Let's get into the Batman. I kind of touched on it earlier, but this is what I like to call emo Batman, goth Batman. I remember when early images of Robert Pattinson were released for this movie, a lot of people were making that joke of he's, going to be playing his My Chemical Romance CD while fighting, but I really think that they did great in showing kind of how broken of a character Bruce Wayne is. He's always kind of played as this cocky, kind of billionaire, eccentric dude. This Batman did not care about his fortune. He didn't care about money. He didn't care about any of that. He cared about justice. And I don't think I've ever really felt that with any other Batman ever. He wasn't an asshole to anyone. He wasn't rude. He wasn't anything. He just wanted what was for the greater good. With that being said, for the first half of this movie, I kind of felt, man, this Batman is quiet, doesn't really have much of a personality like Christian Bale's Playboy Batman or Ben Affleck's tough, confused Batman. Yeah, I didn't really like his Batman, but I feel like with this one, they allowed the story around him, his reactions to them, and just the little subtle things that he would do speak for his character. That character being someone who is just this 100% honest, true, justice-seeking hero, which I really liked. The detective aspect of Batman in this movie is done so well. It's something that a lot of people have been wanting in a Batman movie. Every now and then I feel like Batman will pull out a cool little gadget and kind of hover it over in other Batman movies, and it would kind of skip that. In this movie, we really got to see a lot of detective work done with Batman. Just hands-on at the crime scene, helping out the cops whether they want him there or not. It was one of those moments of, okay, Batman really knows what he's talking about. He's not going to rely on a computer to do it for him. He's not going to rely on a bunch of fancy gadgets to help him. It was half the time just him putting two and two together. It really reminded me of those Arkham games I used to play. You know, Batman Arkham Asylum. If you've ever played them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But just moments of, okay, scan the area. There's clue number 1, there's clue number 2. Here's the answer. So all in all, I really love Robert Pattinson's Batman and the emotion he portrayed, beginning, middle, and end. The progression in his character was absolutely perfect, and I really liked it. I thought he was badass. I loved his suit. I loved the way he looked. I loved the design. I loved everything. I think they nailed almost every single aspect of him in this movie. I like the fact that he's more of a younger Batman. It kind of, makes it much more of a real feel when they talk about him losing his parents, which, spoiler alert if you don't know, Batman's parents are dead. It just hits home because he kind of still has that kid feel, you know? He's not as buff and crazy and, again, into his money. He's just this dark, really gloomy kind of guy that lives in this crazy Gothic-looking mansion, which I think they did great because it really fit into the Gotham City. It's not this brand new billion-dollar mansion. It's really just this lived-in home that you can tell looks like Batman's house. Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Now, I put him after Batman because I won't say much, but I will tell you this. I love this character. I was in the movie theater with Busy Bee ASMR, my girlfriend Raven, and there was actually a moment about 75% of the way through the movie where I looked over at her and I was like, I kind of like the Penguin. Like, am I supposed to hate him? I kind of like him. He played him so well. Half the time I would forget it was Colin Farrell because the voice, the makeup, everything was done to perfection, and I would love to see more of him. I kind of just wanted a fanboy over his performance. I loved it. Great work for the Penguin. A real Catwoman. Sorry for that. Catwoman is a huge part of this story, and I actually went into the movie reading a review before watching the movie that the Catwoman and Batman romance story wasn't necessary and it was forced. Whoever wrote that article or review, stop. Catwoman was so big and prominent in this story. Although she was jumping in and out of the story every now and then, you can really see the chemistry between them two build up. You can see her purpose actually having a purpose, being there for every scene. She was necessary. She was there. There's a subplot. I don't want to get too much into it until we get to the spoiler aspect of the review, but there's a subplot involving her that just kind of intertwines with Batman's journey so perfectly. It's extremely satisfying once everything comes together. So Zoe Kravitz did perfect as Catwoman. She's a very poor kind of person that can't afford the nice gadgets or the motorcycles, super high-techy ones. You can really tell that she is what Catwoman really should be. Someone that shouldn't have this great Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. I didn't really like that much, but her mask, her outfit, her gadgets, the way she moved, everything was done really well to maintain that realism and really kind of give us a feel of what she's been through in life. She's really, really been through a lot of trauma, but at the same time, she's strong enough to push through it all and help out Batman with what he needs, while still getting her bite out of the cake. Riddle me this, Batman. What has 2 thumbs and loved the Riddler in this movie? This guy. You're damn right. I loved the Riddler so much in this movie that your boy actually bought himself a cosplay from a cosplay site. Never actually done that before, but I got a full Riddler set, because I'm actually planning to do a Riddler roleplay for you guys. I really hope it comes out well, and I hope the costume comes here in good condition, so keep an eye out for that. But Paul Dano, so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, did great in this movie. The Riddler was incredibly important, super well written, and just exactly what I really thought the Riddler was going to be from the trailers. If you watch the trailers and look at the promotional work, he looks terrifying. He looks like a man that's unhinged and someone that's smart enough to really know what he's doing, but not understand the exact impact he's bringing. You know, in my eyes, there's nothing more dangerous than a criminal or someone that wants to do bad that's also extremely smart. Kind of like the Joker. He puts on this crazy facade of being this maniac that can't control himself, and while a part of that's true, at the end of the day, the Joker is always one step ahead and understand what he's doing. The Riddler's kind of the same way in this, but with the messages he leaves to Batman, with all the cryptic clues he leaves, I almost thought that he was Jigsaw for a second. You know, there's a scene in the movie where he's actually working on something and putting something on someone. No spoilers yet. And I kind of just looking at him was like, that's Jigsaw, you know? And I do love Jigsaw as a character, and I feel like Paul did perfect in bringing the Riddler to life and placing him in a really real-world situation. While I love Jim Carrey's Riddler, and he'll always have a spot in my heart, this one was really, really well done in terms of maintaining the reality behind the character, giving him a reason on why he's doing everything, and I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen every time he came up. He's a brutal, ruthless, smart man that will do whatever it takes to make sure he comes out on top. And yeah, just thinking back at the scenes, guys, watch the movie. I can't wait to get into spoiler talk. Riddler's a 10 out of 10. Great job. And finally, Detective James Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright. He knocked it out of the park as well. There were some moments where I felt like, you know, I feel like he should be angrier in this situation, or I feel like he shouldn't have to rely on Batman too much, but his relationship with Batman in this movie is really well done. We kind of come into the movie with them already knowing each other and having that friendship, because Batman really needs that helper to bring him into the crime scenes, to give him the information. And I feel like Jeffrey did a great job in portraying Gordon in that sense of this whole, listen, crazy bad guy, I'm going to put my trust in you, but I need you to put your trust in me. So I think Gordon was super well done in this movie in terms of not making him just a lapdog for Batman, but also giving him his own purpose and having a reputation with the detectives and being a good cop at the end of the day, because in this movie you need good cops. The tone and audience, I feel like, would like this movie. I will try and keep this short, but as I said before, it's an extremely dark movie. I would say almost the whole movie takes place at night. You'll get some sunset shots and some kind of dusk and dawn kind of shots, but for the most part, it takes place at night, and I really feel like they did a great job in capturing that. Very gritty, kind of slow-paced film, but perfectly done, in my opinion. When it comes to the dialogue scenes or the detective scenes, I never really got bored, because I'm not one of those people that, you know, watch Transformers, if you catch my drift, where it's like 5% story, 95% explosions and Autobots roll out, you know, like I like being able to sit down and watch a scene with good dialogue. So, in terms of the tone in this movie, they really nailed it in making it a detective, dark kind of Batman film, if that makes sense. Most Batman movies, especially with the most recent Ben Affleck movies, have been blockbuster action films. This one I would actually do closer to even a horror film, if I'm being honest. The opening scene having a lot of horror jump scares, a lot of the soundtracks and kind of sounds they play, the sound effects, it kind of makes you feel like you're watching a horror movie with the suspense, with the sharp violins like in Insidious. I really enjoyed that, and I haven't really seen that in any Batman movies, so and props to them for, really going all out and making Batman the true dark, gritty film it should be. The audience, as I said before, I feel like almost anyone can enjoy this movie, because while there is really great action, it's a familiar face. It's Batman. Everyone likes Batman. Even if you don't, it's cool to be able to see all these different renditions of him. And this one, I think, was way more of a serious Batman, if that makes sense. While The Dark Knight, is still one of my favorite movies of all time, I feel like what Joker is, with Joaquin Phoenix, to the whole Joker universe, the Batman is to the Batman universe. It focuses more on him, takes a much more serious look into the world, and it is a movie that I wouldn't be surprised if it got nominated for an Oscar. It's really well done, and in terms of audience, show it to anyone. They'll have a good time. Just make sure you go to the restroom first, you grab your snacks, and you're ready for a long one. But, like I said, these space things out to where it doesn't really feel that long. Alright, spoiler review. I'm going to give you guys a chance. Don't worry, I'm just going to go into some spoiler talk. It's not going to be a lot, but if you're here and you haven't seen the movie, I would highly recommend it. Go watch it. You can skip to my final score. I'm not saying any spoilers over there. Good. Spoiler warning. Spoilers. We all set? Okay. Good. Now, Riddler in this movie was so well done, in my opinion, mainly because of that final scene. There's a scene where he is in custody and they finally gained access to his final video message of his master plan, and it sent chills down my spine, because it's a harsh reality that we've seen in this world, and I don't ever like getting political on my channel or, stating any views, but really there was just a moment, basically, where he has gained followers online. A lot of people who take his word and follow him in this almost cult-like feeling, and they are sent out to go on a shooting spree in a stadium full of people. And it is incredibly just real, the way they showed a lot of it, and I thought that it was really well done, because the whole theater that I was watching it with kind of was like this. Because, again, it's something that we've dealt with in this world before, and I respect the director, the writers, everyone involved in making these decisions for doing it in the way that they did, because it wasn't cheesy, it wasn't forced. It really felt like the Riddler was just this pure evil being that was doing whatever he could as long as he thought what he was doing was right. And I just wanted to mention, that main scene at the end when he tells all of his people to go ahead, get snipers, go to work. It just really hit me, And once he's finally taken into custody, his scene with Batman, with the interrogation class, actually was a bit underwhelming to me, but Paul Dano, again, I'm sorry, I think did a great job. His acting, while it sometimes was a bit ridiculous, it felt real. It felt like something that belonged in that world, While most Batman movies were a little pulled away from reality with the earlier, Batman and Robin and all those, Batman Forever, with Christopher Nolan's trilogy, it was more of a real aspect of things. With this one, it was a really healthy balance of both. And just the assassination attempts on the political figures, the flooding of the city, all that stuff, it just really kind of showed a grim side to a reality that we all know too well, unfortunately. So, in terms of spoiler talk, that's all I really wanted to talk about. I just thought the Riddler was really well done. His traps, everything he's created and done himself, give off those Jigsaw vibes, and I just really respect them for taking such a heavy leap into a villain. But that's what a villain should be. And final spoiler thing, Batman's realization at the end that him putting on a mask, him carrying himself the way he is, although he's going for 100% justice and he means well with the things that he does, a lot of those Riddler followers would look up to Batman as well. They would call themselves Vengeance like he would. So it's another great kind of parallel to the world we live in, where someone could be doing something so good, whether it's on the internet, whether it's on TV, in movies, anything, music. They can release something, a message out into the world that has nothing but pure intentions, and it could be misconstrued and understood in the most wrong way ever. You can say, hey everyone, go plant a tree. It'll help the world. And then someone will cut down a tree. And you're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, I was inspired by you. In this world, things can get twisted so easily. Online, through media, through any kind of source. And Batman's realization of him having more of a negative impact on Gotham than a positive to him really, really resonated with me. So I thought that was good too. But that's pretty much it for spoiler talk. I just wanted to kind of connect it to our real world here, because there was a lot of those moments where I was kind of just like, damn, they doing that? So there you go. All right. The moment we've all been waiting for in my final rating. I'm going to be giving The Batman a 9.5 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think it did really, really well in capturing not only Batman as the detective, dark vigilante he is, but in capturing the real world of Gotham. Over and over again, I've seen Batman movies go extremely ridiculous and comic booky. I've seen them go extremely real with the Nolan trilogy. In this one, I see a really healthy balance of both. I really can't wait to see where this franchise taken. I really hope that they make more movies with Robert Pattinson and expand in a universe with him. This Batman movie isn't related to the Justice League or any other Batman movie. It's his own standalone film, and I really am wanting more. More of the Riddler, more of Batman, more of the Penguin, and I would highly recommend this movie. So, thank you all so much for watching this. The people who stay to the end of my movie reviews really have a special place in my heart, and I appreciate every single one of you. So, whether you're asleep, or you skip to the end to see my review, or you're just still awake, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to like this video. It really helps out. And please, don't forget to smile. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you next time.